Would you have an intimate relationship with someone in virtual reality? Do you think it's considered cheating if you already have a partner?
I just have to know.
Nothing is going on. I promise. I swear.
And is it still gay even if you're both guys, but one plays a female character?
Guess that's us gay now. That's a joke.
In today's recap, we'll be looking at the Black Mirror episode called Striking Vipers, where two best friends, Danny and Karl, do exactly that. This story starts in the past. A man named Danny meets a girl at a bar and brings her home to stay the night at his house. After sleeping together, Danny wakes up to the sound of his roommate Karl playing a fighting game called Striking Vipers. Karl asks Danny to join him, and even though he has work the next day, he gives in and they both play several rounds together. Karl's an expert at playing with Roxette, so he chooses her every time, while Danny continues to choose Lance. Karl is super competitive and gives Danny a hell of a beating in their last game, but the two friends have a great time. Moving forward 11 years, Danny celebrates his 38th birthday with his wife Theo and their young son. There's a big gathering of people in their backyard, and soon Karl shows up, even though Danny hasn't seen him in several years. He brings Danny a gift, Striking Vipers X, the latest installment of the game that they used to play together, except this one's in VR. They catch up and joke around with each other, just like old times. After the party's over and everyone's gone home, Danny boots up the game for the first time, and Karl joins him for a gaming session. They're really excited to play, and they each choose their old favourite characters, Danny choosing the male fighter Lance, and Karl choosing the female character named Roxette. They brace themselves, and as they start the match, their real-life bodies go limp, and they spawn in as their characters. They're both amazed at how real and lifelike it is.
Check this shit out.
And Danny, even though he has a knee injury, has full use of his bad leg. After messing around a little, they're excited to fight. Karl goes straight into beating down on Danny, each punch making him flinch in real life. Karl's a real expert and knows a lot of the fighting techniques, so in the form of Roxette, he absolutely destroys Danny.
Don't worry, it resets. No harm done.
They fight again, and Danny still can't remember any of Lance's moves. He does a little better this time, but gets dominated again as expected. After a bit of a tussle, Lance ends up on his back, with Roxette kneeling on top of him. Then suddenly, Roxette leans in and they start kissing. At least until Danny realizes he's kissing his friend Karl and then snaps out of it.
No. No. No, no. No, no, no.
They sit in shock for a moment and then quickly exit the game.
Exit game!
They're both overwhelmed by how realistic that kiss was, and even start to question their own sexualities. Did they just kiss each other? Or were they kissing their VR characters? Danny hugs his pillow and tries to forget about it. The following day, Danny's clearly still thinking about what happened. At work, he just sits there with a blank expression on his face, while his co-workers hang out. Meanwhile, Karl tries to distract himself with games at his house, but he can't seem to concentrate. Later on, while playing video games, Danny receives an invite from Karl.
Hey there.
After an awkward greeting, they both downplay what happened, saying that they were drunk, and so now they're going to play seriously, no fooling around.
Serious game, you know? Serious game.
They playfully taunt each other at first, but as they get closer, they get straight back into kissing again, except it's even more intense this time. They're next seen putting their clothes back on, so we can assume that they did a little bit more than just kissing. Lance sits down next to Roxette, where she jokingly says,
Guess that's us gay now.
to which Lance awkwardly says.
Don't feel like a gay thing.
Suddenly Lance feels sharp pains in his leg, so he quickly exits the game. Danny's young son, up past his bedtime, is then seen kicking him as he sits passed out on the couch. Disappointed about being cock-blocked, Danny heads to bed and pretends to be asleep to his wife. The next morning, Danny stands in the kitchen, looking zoned out and deep in thought. His wife joins him and tells him how she's a little disappointed that she's not pregnant yet, and that they need to keep trying for another baby. He apologizes, then hugs and kisses her. At night, he shuts himself in his room and gets straight into another game with Karl. Without any delay, Lance and Roxy have their hands all over each other. When Danny asks Karl what it feels like to be in a woman's body, he excitedly says,
It's crazy. The physical feeling of it is more sort of satisfying.
and so they continue hooking up as Lance and Roxy in a variety of different game locations. Meanwhile, Danny's wife questions why her husband isn't making love to her, thinking it could be her looks, or maybe he's seeing someone else. As expected, Karl and Danny become bored with their real lives. Karl's eyes glaze over during dates, and Danny has no intimacy with his wife. It's now the day of Danny and Theo's wedding anniversary. During their dinner, Theo wants to know if something's wrong with their relationship. and if Danny finds her attractive anymore, or if he's seeing someone.
I just have to know.
Nothing is going on. I promise. I swear.
Danny doesn't tell her about him and Karl, but he realizes he needs to stop what he's doing because it's hurting Theo. He hides the VR headset and tells Karl that they need to stop. Karl tries to negotiate.
We don't have to completely cut it off. What about like first Sunday of each month?
No.
Now and then.
Karl has to stop.
But Danny wants to stop completely. We pick up 7 months later, and Theo is pregnant again. Danny hasn't spoken to Karl for months, but then Theo surprises him by inviting Karl to his birthday party. The three sit and chat at the dinner table. Then Theo leaves to get dessert. Danny wants to know what the hell he's doing here, and Karl explains that he desperately needs to hook up with Danny again. He then lists everything that he's tried.
I've gone in there as God players, girl players, multiplayer gangbangs, you name it. You know, I even fucked Tundra, the polar bear character.
But nothing's come close to him and Danny. Karl begs to do it just one more time, at midnight.
Just come on in one last time. You know you want to one last time.
And Danny eventually agrees. They make love as usual, and in a blissed out state, Karl says,
I love you.
catching Danny completely off guard. He feels conflicted because he loves being with Roxy, but doesn't know if he's in love with Karl. He tells Karl to meet him at an old hangout spot, and demands that they kiss to figure out if they're in love or not. It's a little awkward, but they soon kiss, and to their surprise they feel nothing.
Nope. Not a damn thing.
Not me neither.
Huh.
So that settles it.
They're relieved to know this, but Karl wants to continue with their relationship in the game. Danny tells Karl he needs to get rid of his feelings, and forget what they did together. Eventually they fight over it, and end up getting picked up by the police. When Theo picks up Danny from the police station, she demands to know what's going on with him and Karl. After a long pause, Danny opens his mouth to talk, but the scene is cut short. We're then flashed forward to Danny's 40th birthday, and all seems well. Theo approaches Danny in the kitchen, and they both exchange gifts, saying that they both want each other's gifts back in the morning. We then realize that they've both made a compromise. Once a year on Danny's birthday, he gets his VR headset back so that he can be with Karl, and Theo gets to take off her wedding ring and spend a night with another man. The episode closes with Roxy and Lance making love on a rooftop until the credits roll. What did you guys think of this episode? Would you make love to a video game character in VR? I'd love to hear what you guys think.